Those damn gays done do confusing me again.
Ella Grant is a semi-popular YouTuber who sports around 46,000 subscribers, and by that profile picture alone, you know this channel has got to be interesting. I mean, just look at it. Now, in regards to her content, Ella Grant produces a series of political videos with a 50s aesthetic that really helps differentiate her from the rest of the political commentators simply because of how heavily stylized these are. Some of them could even be classed as short films because of the amount of work that's put into the openings in regards to both editing and scripting.
You're probably asking yourself, how exactly did I find myself
in this position? It all started back when I was trying to make a video on and not only are these well produced, but they are also consistently funny all the way through and have been some of my own personal favorite videos for the past few months, and I've been waiting to review this channel for quite a long time. Since she had about 22,000, I think. It's not my fault that the list keeps getting bigger and bigger every single time I check back. Mostly because her videos have all the positive attributes that one can hope to achieve, all culminating in the perfect storm of quality. She was first brought to the public eye when she collabed with another popular YouTuber, Shoe on Head, or as Mumkey Jones fans know her, this hot chick.
The reason why she unfollowed me on Twitter is because when I retweeted her, I called her hot.
This was basically the jumpstart Ella's channel needed, and it's been gaining traction independently ever since this point. Wonder what that's like.
It happened so fast. I made all my fortune off of YouTube. Who knew that you could so quickly make so much money off of a whole bunch of videos that aren't monetized?
But anyway, the attention her videos have been receiving has begun to snowball at this point, and justifiably so given their quality. However, this channel is still severely underrated and each video warrants at least 1 million views per piece. Even the shitposts. And also, if you want to guarantee a perfect score in one of my reviews, shitposts are essential. But in total, her videos are entertaining, insightful, well-made, and funny, and are stylized in a manner that gives her channel a unique identity. Speaking of identity, Ella Grant is a trap.
Excuse me?
You like segues? How'd I do there? Was that good? I'm only realizing just now that I made this script on the assumption that everybody knew what a trap was, which, to be honest, says more about me than it does about the audience. So, a trap is basically a guy that looks exactly like a girl, essentially. I mean, Ella Grant is trans, which isn't the same thing, but she awarded herself the title of trap, so I'm still gonna be calling her a trap, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of an anime thing, actually. I don't really watch that much anime, actually, but it's kind of that, I guess. I don't know.
My name's Ella Grant, and I'm just your favorite run-of-the-mill ginger trap from Alberta.
But while this fact doesn't have an impact on anything other than the focus of some of her videos, she passes well enough to be anointed the title of Trap Supreme. And speaking as the anointed semi-supreme gentleman, I can relate. Now I know what you're all thinking. But jargon, traps are gay. This is a common misnomer that is very problematic and also idiotic. When examining traps externally, they possess every quality that is shared with a, dare I say this foul word, female. And as we all know, females will reject us and break our hearts like the case of the tragic fallen hero known as Elliot Rodger. That's why it's up to us males to overcome this struggle by dating in and amongst ourselves by having a small portion of the male populace become traps so that the other portion can satisfy its loneliness without having to settle for the traditional relationships with non-trap girls. Chris Chan, for instance, spent years seeking out a boyfriend-free girl, but eventually stumbled upon the conclusion that in order to satisfy his loneliness, he had to become the boyfriend-free girl that he desired for the sake of others. Truly, the greatest innovator of our time. Now, in regards to the actual attraction between males and traps beyond the physical nature, traps are able to comprehend the male struggles and thus result in a far more passionate and, dare I say, loving relationship built entirely on understanding and loyalty, albeit out of necessity to some extent.
If I love you, girl, I love you. Don't go out with the douchebags. Don't go out, don't cheat on me.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The main reason people are so adverse to the idea of dating traps is simply because of the idea that their sexual partner would have a penis, and the inevitable threat to one's own masculinity that would occur when you realize the fact that it is bigger than your own. This is understandable to some extent, but what most people fail to recognize is the fact that sexual pleasure is derived largely from the idea of empathy, which is why porn can achieve the same effect in principle as traditional sex, i.e., you know. And dating someone with the same genitals as your own would greatly assist in the pleasure one is able to receive. Sure, conventional methods of going about this would be nullified, but the added bonus is too great to ignore. Now by this point you're probably all thinking, Jargon sounds pretty hypocritical. There's no way he'd be open to dating a trap. Well, you're right, but I did one better. I became a trap myself. My parents are downstairs. I don't want to say that too loudly. I even came out on Twitter a few months back, and mark my words, I will find the loneliest beta neckbeard out there, and I will give that person the happiest relationship they could ever hope to achieve. Maybe then we could lower the suicide rates among this demographic, and maybe by extension, bring peace to the entire world. With traps. All we need to do is establish an area where traps and betas can congregate free of the oppression from the Chads and Stacys as well as the other non-trap females. A sort of trapno state, if you will. Here we will achieve absolute harmony, and with depression rates lowered to an absolute minimum, technological advancement will increase exponentially, and all sexual related crimes will be erased since everyone will be in a happy relationship. Now in regards to reproduction and the upkeep of this utopian society, we will establish strict borders and line them with a wall that the United States will pay for. We will guard our borders and capture any women looking to seek a better life here, and allow them access on the grounds that they will mother at least 2 kids, one for the beta to father, and the other for his trap partner. These females will then be allowed to stay if they wish, but in order to ensure that they don't disturb this otherwise perfect society, they'll be given separate areas to do activities such as drink water. And in situations where sharing a single space with betas and traps is necessary, such as public transit, they'll be required to sit at the back. A sort of separate but equal relationship, if you will. It's also safe to say that these women will never be allowed to get a husband, since this would upset the fragile traditions of beta trap marriages. Although if this law were ever broken at some point, the guilty party would undergo a forced gender reassignment surgery so they can become a reverse trap and find a husband among the more homosexual-leaning beta crowd. And by extension, homosexuality will be strictly banned between betas or between traps, since this too upsets the established norm. Relationships in this area must consist of at least one trap, whether normal or reverse, and one beta male. With these rules in place, equality will finally be achieved, though understandably any non-beta male who enters the city will be killed immediately. The criteria for who is considered a beta or not will be determined by a physical evaluation that examines apparel and stature. If the person is muscular in any way, or fails to wear a fedora at all times, they will fail. Once the test is completed, any non-beta males will be tattooed with a number and shipped off to camps where... Okay, this is getting a bit, Those that prove to be physically strong and malleable to the will of the state will then be enslaved and used as a labor force, since clearly the traps and betas won't be able to do all the heavy lifting on their own. With this system in place to account for illegal immigration of Chads and females, both labor and birthing issues will be solved. And with the aforementioned lower depression rates, this new society will prosper. But in my opinion, this greatness shouldn't be strictly reserved for the trapno state. Once established, I assert that the next logical step would be to expand out into new territory, and eventually employ this system in every corner of the world, with the only exceptions being small reserves in which Chads and females will be allowed to live free, though at the cost of 2 children per couple in order to keep up the labor and birthing demands originally relied on exclusively by illegal immigrants. From here, we will then nuke every country that has ever contained a person who said traps are gay, because this will have no place in the new world. Next, we will convert the internet into the Trapnonet and eradicate any hateful comments or opinions made about traps or the Trapnonet in order to ensure a more homogeneous mindset across the population. From here, we will use mind control to make every resident of the new world forget any negative thoughts about the government, and use this same principle to ensure that every beta is solely attracted to traps by performing a method derived from giving mild electric shocks to the brain. Now, in order to ensure that Chads won't be able to rebel in the generations that follow the conquest, genetic manipulation technology will be developed to give traps the ability to reproduce successfully with betas, and have the offspring be exclusively traps and betas as well. It's also safe to assume that by this point, artificial intelligence technology will have reached a stage in which robots will be able to replace unskilled laborers. Once these advancements are completed, the temporary arrangement with the traps and females by means of reserves will no longer be necessary, and all the residents will then be executed by firing squad. All of this will result in a perfect world free of any crime or inequality. Maybe then humanity will finally take a turn for the better and embrace perfection through traps. I'm a trap, and I'm proud of it. No, it's not a really... Okay, never mind, that's a... And I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Just jargon, out.
It's a trap!
Okay, so Mark, I was just curious, now, since we're going to be doing a review of traps, how do you feel about traps?
I don't like traps. They're gay.
What? You can't be serious.
Yep.
There's a video out there that exists that says that if you watch a man and a woman having sex, that is
50% gay
because you're partially watching the man. And if you watch, like 2 women having sex, it's a gay relationship,
which brings it around to gay again.
So it's just 100% gay. So the least gay thing is to watch a woman in a trap having sex, because if you do that, it's
only 25% gay.
because there's a woman and then a half man, so it's only 25%.
It's not half a man though.
Okay, you might have a point there, but even still, I mean, I don't know how to end this cutaway gag, so.
Sonic is better than whatever Stocks Level